All right, so in this video, we're going to work from the various cost curves and show how to, what are the basic steps of determining the level of profit and, actually first, what's the profit maximizing level of output for the individual firm, given cost curves and given a price, and then how to show that profit on the cost curve. So first of all, I want to say that between the previous video and this video, you should be looking at the book to see what the pictures of the cost curves look like. In the previous video, I showed how to generate the values that make up average variable cost, average total cost, and marginal cost, but the book will show you how the pictures look, okay? And I've just come up with a generic set of cost curves here. What we want to remember, though, is some initial equations. Is our average total cost is equal to the total cost divided by the level of output. Average variable cost, this curve, is determined by total variable cost divided by output. We should also put marginal cost is equal to the change in total cost divided by the change in output. And then finally, our general equation for profit, which is represented by the Greek letter pi, is equal to total revenue minus total cost. So these are important to keep in mind and know in order to see how we can show the profit on these cost curves. Okay, so again, we remember these cost curves come out of that original total cost relationship that we talked about in the previous videos. So let's just go through the steps, okay? This video is really just about the steps. So first thing is we're making an assumption that for this individual firm, so we're talking about the choice of an individual firm of how much to produce and what level of output will generate the maximum possible profit for that individual firm. So first thing, the individual firm is small relative to the entire market. So whatever the decision of the individual firm is in terms of its output, it can't change the market. So whatever its decision is will not move the market. So number one, the firm has to hear what the market price is. So if they hear what the market price is, and we'll just say, and we'll draw a line, a horizontal line, and this is the market price. So the firm here's the market price, and actually we're going to call this MR, marginal revenue. The idea of marginal revenue technically is change in total revenue divided by the change in output, but all it's saying is if the firm produces one more unit of output, how much is its total revenue going to change? Well, it's just going to change by the price of that one unit. Okay, so that's why it's supposed to be a horizontal line. Regardless of the output choice, if the firm produces one more unit of the good, it's just going to get the market price for that unit of the good. Okay, so that's the first step. That first, drawing that horizontal line. Second step is we have to use our rule, our marginal decision rule for profit. Marginal revenue equals marginal cost. So I'm not going to explain it. That will come later. I'm just telling you the rule as part of the steps for determining what is the maximum possible profit. So this is our rule. Marginal revenue equals marginal cost. We've got our marginal revenue line, and so all we're looking for is that point where that marginal revenue line intersects the marginal cost curve. So from there, the next step is to drop a line straight down, and that, by definition of our process, is the profit maximizing level of output. So the firm chooses to produce this level of output, and that is the output which will generate the greatest possible profit. Producing a little less or producing a little more, by definition, must lower the profit. Okay, so we've got the profit maximizing level of output, and so when we start evaluating costs and revenues, we're always doing it with this slice, with this level of output. Okay, so the third step. So number one, drew that horizontal line for the price or the marginal revenue line. Two, drop the line down to determine the profit maximizing level of output. So the next thing is we now have to determine what is the profit. How do we represent the profit for this level of output? So we want to keep in mind profit is simply total revenue minus total cost. So first thing is we want to determine what is the total revenue. So total revenue is simply price times the quantity. Well, we've got the price, this height, and we've got the quantity, this width. So height times width is simply the area of the box. So this box right here, so that's bounded by the output, bounded by the price. The area of this box represents the total revenue. Okay? So I'll just say TR. We'll change colors. Okay, the next thing is we still need to determine what's the total cost at this level of output. Again, I can't emphasize enough, we're always evaluating everything at this kind of vertical slice. So the problem is we look at this curve, these curves, and we do not see a total cost curve. All we have is an average total cost curve. So we remember that average total cost, well, where is it from? It's total cost divided by output. So I'm going to say average total cost is equal to total cost divided by output. If we do a little algebra, we cross multiply. If we say average total cost, so we'll cross multiply the y, times the level of output, well, that gives us our total cost. So for a particular level of output, if we determine what the average total cost is and we multiply those two, we get the total cost. So at this level of output, what is the average total cost? Well, we'll just go straight up. Wherever this slice intersects that average total cost curve, we'll draw a line straight across. So this is the average total cost at that y star. Okay, so we have our average total cost, our height, we have our output, the y star, our width, and again, height times width is equal to the area of the box. So the area of this box represents the total cost. So now we have the elements we need. Profit is simply total revenue minus total cost. So area of the total of this box is the total revenue. Subtract out the area of this box, which is the total cost. So by definition, the area of the part of the total revenue box not covered by the total cost box must equal the profit. Okay? So again, for this level of output, this represents the maximum possible profit. So what you should be able to show if you practice with this is what if we reduced our output a little bit? Again, you could determine your total revenue box, determine your total cost box, you'd see the resulting profit, and again, if we had completely accurate cost curves, you would see that the size of this the size of this profit box would be smaller. Probably less intuitive is if you produce more, so you increased your level of output, we would still see that the profit would go down. So the basic idea is that, yes, your revenue would go up, but your total cost would go up even more. So that's the basic setup of how to graph the total profit from your cost curves. And again, you're going to really need to practice this because this is a critical part of understanding. And in later videos, we're going to talk about, for these cost curves, identifying the break-even point, that point where profits are exactly zero, and the shutdown point, the point at which you actually lose less money by not producing versus producing.